After spending 2 weeks with the PICO 4, I'm now ready to share my full review of this headset. Also, you'll find at the end of this review video, there is a Q&A with you, the viewers. Some of you may know I've experienced many different headsets over the years, ranging from PSVR to recently experiencing the Vario XR3, which is $12,000. And it's important to have these experiences because it gives you an overall view of what is happening in the VR space to see what is possible and what is worthy of a consumer's purchase. Currently, the Quest 2 and the PICO 3 offer really good value, but now we have a brand new contender. My mission for today is to take you through the specs, what they mean and how it affects you, the user, and if what this headset is offering is worth the price of admission. On top of that, I see this video being for 4 different types of people. You've got the existing Quest 2 owners wondering, is this headset that much better? Should they shift over? You've got PICO 3 owners wondering if it's worth an upgrade. You've then got the PCVR crowd. Is this a worthy PCVR headset for the money? And then you've got the brand new users, the people who have been waiting on the fence for something that isn't from Meta. PlayStation VR 2 isn't out yet, and they're wondering, is this the headset that they dive into? But before we get into the video, please consider leaving a like, dropping a comment, and subscribing to the channel for any future VR content. As we go into this review, you must remember that not everything is about numbers. It's about user experience. It's about how I perceive it or how you're going to perceive it when you get the headset. Some of the software still needs updating, and the reason this video is being brought out on the 18th, which was the embargo for a full review, is because the software was still being upgraded. So as of today, this video is the most up-to-date review video on YouTube. The PICO 4 offers a resolution of 4320 by 2160, equaling 2K per eye via two 2.56 inch LCD screens with a refresh rate of 90 Hz. Some of you are asking if the headset is capable of 120 Hz, and unfortunately that is something I cannot test and I cannot answer. And the IPD, interpupillary distance, is ranged from 62 to 72, and it's done by a really smart, accurate mechanism built into the headset. So you go into the UI and you press like minus or plus, and the lenses will also adjust. While we're talking about the lenses of these VR headsets, the PICO 4 has a pancake lens, which basically means it's completely flat. When it comes to glare, it's very different to Fresnel. Glare on a Fresnel lens tends to move and is also like stepped. When it comes to a pancake lens, it tends to cover a wider area but seem a little bit less severe. It kind of looks like a circle in a circle. Whenever that circle appears, it makes the image look a little bit more washed out. That's the only way I can describe it. Obviously, it's not all the time, in game, you're not really going to notice it. And also, I would say the display is slightly duller than the Quest 2. When I say slightly, we're talking nothing that really matters. If I go from one headset to the next headset, I can see that the Quest 2 is slightly brighter. When it comes to the higher pixel count of PICO 4, it can actually make Quest 2 games look a little bit sharper, but also highlight jaggies. I've noticed in certain games, especially Contractors. Again, they're not negatives, they're just facts. They're not negatives, they're just what I've seen. This headset is offering a field of view of 105 degrees. What I want to get across is how that feels to me as a user going from predominantly Quest 2 mostly to being in this headset. The experience is enhanced by the field of view. I do enjoy having a wider field of view. Right there is a 16 megapixel RGB camera. This is what gives us color pass-through, and I gotta say, I absolutely love this feature on this headset. Now personally, I don't use Quest 2 pass-through for anything productive. It's quite fun to use it in an AR experience, but actually as what I feel pass-through should be used for is to carry on doing things while keeping the headset on. Once you find the sweet spot, check your PC, check your phone, have a drink. That has actually been something I do use this for. On the Quest 2, I will remove my headset all the time. I would never use pass-through to do that stuff. It does have slight warping issues or distortion, and also because it's only a single camera, there is a lack of depth. But for what I wanted it for, moving my mic, checking my PC settings, having a drink, it's really functional for that. I'm really excited now for Quest Pro because I've seen this. I would now consider working in pass-through with multiple monitors if the Quest Pro is comfy and it works like that, but even better. So I hope we never go back to black and white pass-through. Now the PICO 4 is an inside-out tracked headset. It's got 4 cameras. It uses tracking rings on the controllers, and how well these are placed, these tracking rings, you rarely get any occlusion, and I never had any issues once. The tracking is superb. There's two models of this bad boy. You get the 128 and the 256. I'm pretty sure visibly there'll be no difference. There are always negatives when it comes to this sort of stuff, and I will be going into more negatives, but one of them is going to come up straight away. There is no auxiliary port connections on this headset, so you can't use a wired set of headphones. Personally, I haven't tested any Bluetooth speakers with this because the speakers on this headset are fantastic. The way these speakers are positioned do a really good job of directing that sound spatially to your ears. Now, to me, PICO 4 is the best looking headset I've ever seen. This is the first headset where I look at this and I can see the potential of the Ready Player One dream. Nice, big, flat lenses, thin headset. I mean, look at that. It's crazy. I mean, I'm not trying to exaggerate. I reckon that is half the size. It's madness. I love it. I love the look at this. I do. I can't get over it. I can't get over how balanced it feels. I know the battery's at the back, and there's probably not much difference in total between the headsets. I don't think you're going to need any head straps, but the only thing that does need changing is this. For me personally, my cheeks hit here a lot, and it looks like a lovely little cushion. Like if this was a chair, I'd squeeze on this and go, that's really comfy. But when it comes to your face, this bit, if your forehead's quite prominent, or your cheeks like mine are quite prominent, it's going to dig in. And I can probably do about an hour in this headset, and I need a break. Next up, let's talk about the controllers. I really love these controllers. They're a little bit heavier than Quest 2 because they take 2 AAs per controller. The tracking rings are in an excellent spot, as mentioned earlier. You know, when you're like playing a game or reloading a gun, you just don't notice them there. That is a really clever way of putting them. Obviously with Quest Pro, and maybe in the future the headset and the controllers will be tracking each other, I don't know, but for how we are at an affordable technology place in VR, these are excellent. I also got an early look at the hand tracking capabilities of PICO 4. I believe this is going to be coming sometime next year, and while it's not as accurate as Quest 2, at times it works really well. So now it's time to talk about the 4 types of people who may be interested in the PICO 4. First up, we got the Quest 2 owners. Guys, if you own a Quest 2 like me, you do not need the PICO 4. Most of the time when you play a PICO 4 game, it feels exactly the same as it did on the Quest 2, albeit a slightly wider field of view. I wouldn't say there is any gains in visuals, because I'm assuming the software is running exactly the same as it did on the Quest 2, and most likely you've already spent money on comfort options like I have with the Bobo, so it really does fall into a place of it's not actually worth the money to upgrade. And I want to address the phrase of Quest killer. This is not a Quest killer, but what it does is it stands up really well side by side. Okay, this is a excellent Quest 2 competitor. Okay, and that brings us nicely to the PCVR review part of PICO 4. And again, it falls into 2 different subcategories. You've got the wired and the wireless. If you're wired going into this headset, you're in trouble because the PICO software at the moment is poor. It's pretty soft looking, pretty flat looking. I've tried all different kinds of options and it's an okay experience, but it's not a good experience, and definitely not what the headset can provide, because when you use virtual desktop with this wirelessly, it's fantastic. If, for example, you're looking for a PCVR headset and you don't own a Quest 2, get the PICO 4. It's only marginally better than the Quest 2, but it is better, and via virtual desktop, it's a wonderful experience. And if I didn't have a Quest 2, this would be my PCVR driver. This would be the headset that I would use all the time. Okay, so you own a PICO 3 and you're thinking about upgrading to the PICO 4. Hopefully you're going to get 30% off because you bought the PICO 3, and then you can also sell your PICO 3. I would upgrade to the PICO 4. Only with those 2 things in mind. If you can get the 30%, sell the PICO 3, I would get a PICO 4. So last but not least, that comes to the people who don't have any headset and you're not interested in Quest 2. I think this is an absolutely massive must buy. I think this is an amazing headset for the money. The library is massive. You can sideload just exactly the same as Quest 2. Sure, you're missing out exclusives, but that's no secret. You know, all you got to do is look up the studios that Meta owns, and you know, you're not going to be able to play Beat Saber unless you get PC. But you should know that. Hopefully you know that. The value for money this thing has for the tech is unreal. That is the whole thing. And I'd like to close up with an overview of my time with the PICO 4, because I'm a Quest 2 owner and I use it for PCVR, and I got the PICO 4 and I use it for standalone and PCVR. I'll personally probably still use my Quest 2. Why would I probably use my Quest 2? It's more comfy because of the additional features that it has. It's got the exclusives that I'm looking forward to. Plus I can use the Oculus Link. I like to stream and record via wire. I just have for a long time. I started using Virtual Desktop and Airlink, and I don't think it's a problem with the software. I think it's a problem with my network. Sometimes it drops out. So those three things are the reason that my Quest 2 will still be used more so than the PICO 4. But damn, dude, like, this is a fantastic headset, and PICO should be proud. Like, if you brought some exclusive games to this would be a very different conversation. First question comes from Grink, and he asks, what's the after wobble like when you move your face around quickly? On the Quest, you certainly notice it. Unfortunately, I'll have to report there is slight wobble, but maybe that's because of where the bridge of my nose is to my eyes. I did the headset really tight, and there is a slight bit of wobble still. Next question is from Sean Rains. He says, I use my Quest 2 exclusively for wireless PCVR with Virtual Desktop. I plan to buy this as a small upgrade. It's lighter, more comfortable design, higher screen resolution, and higher FOV. Now, I've already addressed some of those because it is lighter. I don't think it's more comfortable, and it has got a higher screen resolution, higher FOV. I don't have high hopes for standalone features, but it seems like a no-brainer for Steam. Sean, if you got the money, and it looks like you have, and you're interested in that, and you are correctly calling it a small upgrade, then yes, the PICO 4 is a small upgrade over Quest 2 for PCVR. Next question is from Craze. He says, hope you enjoy your new headset. Could you make a comparison video from wireless to wired PCVR streaming? It's very hard to capture, I would say, the effects of wired versus wireless, especially at the moment, because the software just isn't there yet. It performs fine. Both actually perform really, really well. It's just the image quality of the PC software, as I said in the video, looks pretty flat, looks a bit lifeless and a bit soft. And if you go to like HD settings on it, it gives you like a warping effect at the moment. So it's just not there yet. Next question's from Bossons. He says, can you use some peripherals on the Quest 2 on the PICO 4? Peripherals like a back mounted battery or an OG Quest 2 case. So firstly, to answer this, you cannot remove this head strap. I think it's all wired in, because obviously this is the battery, so you will never be able to replace this strap. This you probably could, but this actual head strap here, you're never going to be able to change. So this is the Bobo VR case, and it fits fantastically. In terms of extending battery power, I've seen someone already fit the Bobo VR single battery tray and a Bobo battery onto the back of the PICO. They probably use zip ties or something like that, and then obviously it's just the USB-C cable to the headset. I haven't tested this, and I don't know if it's going to be an official product, because as I said, you can't change the strap, but someone's already doing that. Next question's from Flex. He says, does it play Contractor standalone version? Yes, it does, and I wonder how it compares to Quest 2. It's identical to me, what I played of it. I didn't find any differences at all, apart from visually. Like I said in the video, it looks a tiny bit sharper, but you do notice more jaggies. Next question is from Nicholas Darkside. He says, do you think it's worth to wait for the PICO 4 Pro or the next Meta VR headset? I don't know much about PICO 4 Pro, and then you've got MetaQuest Pro. I'm assuming they're the two headsets that we're referring to here, on which I can't answer because I don't know anything about PICO 4 Pro, and I haven't got my Quest Pro till I think it's coming tomorrow. So let's put it down to what I said in the video earlier about Quest 2 and PICO 4. If you've got a Quest 2, you don't need the PICO 4. He said the PICO 4 is more sharper and more bright. It is sharper, but it's not as bright. Next question from Zatix. He's put, does it work with PCVR through a cable? I heard it only works via wirelessly Wi-Fi connection, but some people are saying it also works with USB-C. Hopefully I've already answered that question in the video. Yes, it works fine. I use my Oculus Link cable. The current software is pretty poor, so hopefully there will be an update soon. As I mentioned a couple of times before, there's some odd effects if you try and make it a high resolution. The scale can also look a bit weird if you go onto like smooth or soft. It just doesn't look great at the moment, especially not as great as it should look, because when you use Virtual Desktop, it looks fantastic. But yes, this headset will be USB-C compatible. Max Kaisel says, the front panel at first looks cool, but I reckon it will be scratched in a matter of seconds. Well, I've had this 2 weeks. There's no scratches on it at the moment, and I have dropped it. So I can confirm I haven't got any scratches on this at the moment, which I'm quite surprised about. I thought you were right, but in 2 weeks so far, and you're saying in a matter of seconds, over 2 weeks there's no scratches, and I've used this like quite a lot. And Pazuzu asks, is there a video player similar to Skybox? So personally, I've never used Skybox on the Oculus, but it looks like a home for VR videos and 360 experiences, and there is. And there we have it. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I am absolutely exhausted after this one. This is probably the most in-depth review I've done on a headset in a long time, so I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please subscribe, please drop a like, and please leave any comments below, and I will see you on the next video.